All right, let's get started. First, I'm going to start today with what's big in Blackness. And when I say big in Blackness, I mean big in Black business, big in Black culture. Today, it's just the little things I'd like to point out. Little things like my Lip Bar lip gloss, which I just found in a box that I hadn't opened in a while, but there it was. Open it up, there it was. Lip Bar, Black owned and beautiful. The color, if you're interested, is called Class Act, which I like. I think that's why I chose it, because it's taking me right back to my days as a nerdy girl in the 80s when I was getting all A pluses and I really was a class act. But you got to remember, in the 80s, the makeup was nowhere as flattering as it is nowadays. So Black girls, you don't know how good you have it. Class Act, Lip Bar, Black owned. Check it out. And that said, happy Thursday. Happy damn, I wish it was spring. And welcome back again to Let 'em Eat Laughs, the show where comedy, culture, and the culinary collide. I'm your host, NOJ. And about me, my body is sore from shoveling. And yes, I'm Canadian enough to know the whole lift with your legs and all of that stuff. Yeah, I did all of that. But packing snow, I haven't seen snow like this in a while. This snow was fighting me just as hard as I was fighting it. If I was 8 years old right now, I would probably have had some fun, made a snow fort, made a snowman. But I'm several decades beyond that. And let's just say, where snow and I are concerned, the love is gone. So yeah, I wish it was spring right now. But speaking of love, I want to remind you that in February, we're hosting the Let 'em Eat Laughs live on stage comedy show. I'm just going to pull it up so you can see it a little bit better, but I'm retro. Look at this. I got an actual paper flyer. It's amazing. The Let 'em Eat Laughs live on stage comedy show. You are going to love, see what I did there, love the food, love the drink, love the people, and love all the jokes. The date is Saturday, February the 19th at Toronto's Taste of Life restaurant at 5 p.m. The $30 advance ticket price includes your delicious appetizer alongside a healthy serving of jokes from comedy heavy hitters like Lady Day, Cliff Knight, and our headliner, Crystal Ferrier. Tickets are already on sale on Eventbrite, or if you're old school, you can pick up a paper ticket at the venue, and you can find address, times, details on Linktree/BishFunny. You can find the ticket link right there. Also on Eventbrite at eatlaughsfeb2023.eventbrite.ca, as it says on the flyer. Tonight, our guest is Rasha Elfeky. I'm just going to pull up her video.
For white men, greet me with wagwan. What is this?
A few moments later.
And I say it because, you're men, it's an unfortunate situation. Sorry? Oh, no.
Yeah, so wagwan with Rasha, right? Rasha is a comedian who daylights as a real estate agent, which explains why she uses comedy as a coping mechanism. She tells us that she stumbled into stand-up during the pandemic, but I can tell you, after a whole year at it, a year in November and a little bit now, she's walking strong and making some big moves. She's performed at Yuck Yucks and the Comedy Bar, the Just for Laughs Festival in Toronto, and on the Extra Gravy comedy show, among others. She emerged victorious recently at the Real Jerk Newbie Comedy Competition, and snowstorms notwithstanding, she'll be appearing at their next pro show. So let's get right into it with that girl, Rasha.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. How did you survive the snowstorm?
Oh, I stayed inside. I did not step out.
You've been inside all day?
Yeah, I was like, I'll deal with my car another time. I live in a building, so I don't have to worry about shoveling
I'm
snow.
jealous.
I know.
All right, so let's get right into it. Rasha, you were born in Egypt. Tell us
Yeah.
about your journey from there to here and where.
Yeah, born in Egypt, third of four kids, pretty young. We kind of were moving around a lot. We initially moved to Minnesota, very random.
Ooh,
Yeah, colder than here. And then we moved back to Egypt after a couple months, and then eventually we moved to California, where I would say my like early childhood. That's where I was raised in like Burbank, right outside of LA. Came here when I was about 10 years old. Here, as in Mississauga, Toronto area, and
all right,
ever
West Side.
yeah.
Yeah. And you say you're the third of four children. Are you like a wild middle child? Are you responsible? Like what kind of sibling relationship? And also, do the siblings figure into your comedy in any way?
Honestly, my I'm definitely the one that plays by her own rules. Like my sister, I always say she was like my mom, and my older brother is like my dad, even though we're really close in age. Um, I just felt like they were the responsible ones, and because of it, I could be irresponsible.
So you're
And
irresponsible.
100%, 100%. And then with when it comes to comedy, it's more the funny people in my family are my parents. They don't mean to be funny, but they're the real they're the real inspiration to a lot of my jokes, I would
And
say.
are they supportive? Are they supportive of the comedy?
Well, my dad, he's old school. He's old school. He's also like 71 years old. So
Oh,
like so really like old school and old. So for him, he was a little bit like, what's this about? Where do you do it? Who's watching? This and that, like a protective father. But my mom, extremely supportive, and that throws everyone off because like she doesn't look like she looks old school and like but she's very young at heart, so she's the reason I probably got into comedy. She's the funny one in the family.
nice. Nice. So let's talk family, let's talk cooking. Do you do a lot of the cooking for your family?
My mom's one of those people that will slap your hand and tell you to go outside because you're doing it wrong. So I've helped, I've assisted, but she's the real chef. I'm like the sous chef and at home. She only cooks like she cooks back home food, but then she also has dabbled into other like cuisines because she just loves food just like me. Um, and yeah, no, she's a chef. I would always argue that if she opened a restaurant, it would be booming. Like
Yeah.
with
Yeah. So
me,
you're a food lover,
yeah, obsessed. Love eating.
but you said you do some cooking. Now we've heard that your signature dish is this spicy red sauce spaghetti, which I thought was funny because the first guest that we had this season, Simone Holder, she also specialized in spaghetti. So I'm like, what's going on with this spaghetti? What's so special about yours, Rasha?
Honestly, it's my mom's recipe, and it's probably the spiciest spaghetti you've ever had. It's a bit too spicy in my opinion, the way my mom makes it. And growing up, it was like just the first thing you learn. I think the easiest thing you learn is kind of pasta. I mean, in my opinion, and the sauce, it was like I don't know how to describe it, but I would say it's like she puts like garlic and hot peppers and like just tomatoes, and it's a lot of like organic foods. And then my friends would come over, and she used to make it for us, and my friends would have tissue boxes right beside
Oh
the
my God.
meal. That's how, no, it was crazy, and they still ate it because it was delicious, but she went over the top sometimes. And if you got the piece of pepper in your like in your bowl, you were the unlucky one, and you just had to deal with it.
Yeah, that's real
So
spicy then. So you're not
yeah,
talking Taco Bell spicy sauce spicy,
no,
which is not at all spicy. You're talking
yeah,
real cultured people spicy.
yeah, like where like some friends couldn't. They just were like, can she make a separate dish for me? Like it was that bad. But I mean, good for me, but I
But
loved it.
bad for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is a different pasta that's in no way related to koshari.
Yeah, koshari is completely different. Koshari is Egypt's national dish, and I honestly, it's hands down my favorite food. But it's just carb loaded. It's rice, pasta, chickpeas, and then it's a sauce, a specific, again, another spicy type of sauce. But I would say it's more tangy, and it's street food in Egypt. It's like, if you know, like when you're on King Street and you're looking for street food after a club and you eat a hot dog in Egypt, you eat kushari, which sounds insane, but
So what do
it's
they
the
serve it
best.
to you in, like a
In like
little plastic dish or
in
something?
a cup with a little, like, one of those like spoons that you get in like an ice cream.
Oh, the
Um
wooden spoons.
yeah, and it's just like simple and quick. And I know it's a dish. How is that street food? But it's because it's easy to make. Honestly, it's yeah. I don't know. It's the best, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited to have it when I go back to Egypt next month.
You're talking about hot dogs. I just thought, to me, hot dogs is not even real street food. Like, I find cultured people, we have our own kind of things.
Street
Like
food.
when I come out of the club, I want corn soup. I want something hot and
Yeah.
real, not a hot dog, which down
Yeah.
on King Street, it's like taking your life into your hands to eat any of that stuff. Anyway, I know some people
Yeah.
do it, but I'm not the one. I'm not the one.
Yeah. I don't know if it helps or makes things worse.
And your drink of choice is homemade lemonade.
I will die by this recipe. It's hilarious when I explain to people how I make it. It's the best. You just get the entire lemon, water, sugar, put it in the blender. I'm talking the lemon. You didn't even cut it in half. The
What?
whole, yes.
With the skin?
Everything with the skin, with the skin. I'm telling you, that's why it's so good. And you put it in the blender, you blend it, and then you get a strainer, and then you strain it, and boom, best lemonade you'll ever have. I feel like the skin gives it just more
Oomph, you call it. That's got to have like a bitter kind of aftertaste then.
No, because you'd have no, you'd have enough sugar because the skin it's not in the, like, once you strain it, it's good. I don't know. It's just strong. It's strong. I mean, we've had to cut the sugar as time passed, as we realized, like, this is an ethnic amount of sugar. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's
Exactly.
like, diabetes is a thing. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I know when we made juice as a kid, with the orange can juice, or even
Yes.
the kind we have with the liquid can of juice, and we'd make it with 2 cups of sugar in one jug. And now my kids drink orange juice from the jug with no sugar at all, and I'm like, wow, how we have grown and what we've achieved. You're like practically white children at this point, being able to drink orange juice without sugar. It's crazy.
Any sugar, yeah.
Yeah, but
No, I know.
not lemonade. Lemonade still needs the
Lemonade needs it. No, yeah, you can't.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a note of that. Blending lemonade in the blender with skin,
Yeah, and
and
that's
see what comes of that. Lemonade was a popular drink, and it still is. What makes your chocolate chip cookies the best?
Whew, okay. So initially, the recipe, I would say that what inspired me. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those. It's Rich Tree hotels. They, like, when you enter, if you check in, they would give you this cookie, and they'd always have them fresh. I used to be a flight attendant, so there was a specific hotel that we'd stay in. I think it was in Dublin, and I was obsessed with these cookies. I used to ask for like a little bit more, and I'd keep them in the hotel. And so I just ended up Googling the recipe, and now the recipe has like nuts involved and all that. I adopted it, and then I like changed it up. I made it more brown sugar instead of white. And the way somehow I found the perfect like ingredients for it to be almost like fluffy and soft, and like it's like they're like thick. They're not like they're not a flat.
Not a flat
like
cookie.
Yeah, it's a gourmet, and like you shouldn't really have more than like one or two. Like it's so satisfying, and then like dark chocolate chips, and it's like almost like has a not salt taste to it, but I would say it's like almost like a muffin top. I can't, like, you just have to try it. I wish I had them. It's so good, and there's like I use oats, and I blend them, and then I put them in as part of like the flour. So that's why I think it's more like almost like a muffin top. I'm gonna have to make it and bring it for you.
I
It's
will
so good.
appreciate that. I can tell
Yeah.
you're such a foodie because, a lot of people talk about food, but it's only people who are really into food, like wave their hands around when they're talking about food. Like, you cannot keep your hands still when everything I
Yes.
ask you, you're just like, oh my
I'm
God,
like, let me show you.
let me show you.
It's also the Arabic in me. We just talk with our hands. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like
Yeah,
the
but you were pretty good
Italians.
until we start talking about the food and then your
Food.
hands just start
And then
going
my hands
crazy.
came out. Yeah.
Yeah, you did say you worked as a flight attendant,
Yeah.
like that must have been amazing just going around eating all the different kinds of food.
Oh my God, I was so spoiled. And I know I sounded like a brat when I'd be here. And it's like when I'm eating like pizza and pasta, I'm like, not the same in Rome, like, or Venice. In Venice, they do it like this. And it's like, I know I sounded like I was so annoying probably. Cause like I was so spoiled. Portugal, we'd have for breakfast, I'd have that Portuguese, the tart. Oh my goodness, with a coffee. I was, because mostly Europe. I used to work for air transit, so we usually were in Europe. So I was just like the European food, like in Barcelona, the tapas. Oh, I miss it. I miss it.
There we
I
go.
miss the food. I miss it. But then here's the downside: being in a plane. Plane food, disgusting. Plain food is
Yeah.
the nastiest shit ever. And a lot of people don't realize that the sodium in plain food, they over salt it because in the sky, your taste buds, they're less. Like you can't taste as good in the air as you can
Okay.
on the ground.
I learned
So
something completely new today because I know I've
yeah,
heard like when you're up in the air, it's harder to breathe and stuff like that on a
yeah,
mountaintop, but I haven't heard anything about harder to taste while you're in the
yeah, hard
sky.
to taste. And that's so they over salt that food, and it's like
Mm,
packaged for like months. It's just thawed out. It's gross. Yeah, pack your own food. Don't
yeah.
if you can. If you can.
Note to self, pack your own food. You said another one of your favorites is pad thai. Is that like you had it when you were in Thailand, or is there some other pad thai hookup you're getting?
Oh, okay. It's so weird to say, but in Manchester, had the best pad thai. I want to say London and Manchester, if you eat ethnically there, their ethnic food is really good. They have a lot of immigrants and a lot of Africans in Europe in general. So like you get good African food there, you'll get good Thai food, Indian food slaps. It is so good in the UK. And it's so funny because we have a lot of ethnic people here in Canada and Toronto, and like
Yeah.
you'd think it'd just be as authentic, but I think over there they're just like, I don't know, they hold on to their roots like more. I don't know, but the pad thai, I think my favorite choice like cuisine, like ethnic cuisine, would be probably like the Asian cuisine. Like I love Viet pho, like the soup.
Yeah.
Obsessed. I like anything like I think that's just my flavor palette. And my mom loves it too. She's obsessed. I take everything from my mom really. Like I can make a really good stir fry, which is so random.
I'm so bad at stir fry. I have no like if I'm gonna cook anything, it's like I just gotta cook it right down to a stew. Like I can't
Yeah.
figure out how to make it be still crunchy but yet flavorful. It takes a real
No.
talent. Now, I love Asian food too. I'm just starting to get into pho, as you said.
Mm.
And I find the best ones they have in Toronto are always in the most grimiest, tiniest little places, like
Yeah.
not in the shopping mall, but there's
No,
one
no, no, no.
on University Avenue, which you literally feel like you're going into a drug den, just having to go around this little corner and hope that nobody jumps out at you while I'm just trying to go in there and get the best seafood pho you could ever
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's how it goes.
amazing.
It's how it goes.
Yeah.
I'll say the best one that I know is it's called VitBO, like BEO, and it's honestly the best. And it's cool. The vibe in there is dope. They're playing like hip hop, R&B. The people, you're gonna look at the counter and it's the most random people making Vietnamese food. They're not even Vietnamese, but like
Really?
I know there has to be one head chef or something, but it's like a Caribbean dude. They seem like they're besties. Like this one random white guy, like, and they're like cool, like they're chill. Like I can't explain it. You'd think you're in New York, when you walk into that place and you're having great Viet food. You have to check it out.
Yeah, where is that place? That's downtown Toronto or
Yeah,
Mississauga, Toronto?
no, it's Toronto. It's Toronto. I'm always down here. I'm always eating out here because that's the best places to find like the secret locations.
All right, all right. And now I also asked you what food you thought was underappreciated. And I laughed my head off because you just said soup, and it was like a simple one word answer, but I laughed because I thought there's got to be a lot of feelings behind this one word. I've asked this question of so many comedians. I don't think anyone just said soup.
Soup.
You think soup is not getting the love that it deserves?
You know what? I think I'm triggered because like I have a really close friend, my best friend, she doesn't like soup. And I find it so odd because like how are you gonna write off every soup? Like you must have like not, I don't know, like you just haven't been exposed enough. And she's just like, I don't know. She has no explanation. And I think about it and I'm like, soup's never like that thing that people are like, oh my God, you gotta try the soup at this place. Like, I don't know. I was thinking so hard about it. And I was just like, I like soup. Soup's good. Soup's like, and I guess it's like more associated when you're sick. It's never just like, oh, like we're gonna have like, or it's a side, or it's an app, or like you get a small bowl. Like, and then maybe it's because I love pho and I love ramen. I'm just like, I love noodles and soup. So I don't know. And my mom makes really good soup. And like, I don't know.
It depends on the culture. You're right. For some people, soup is a side dish that is like a little watery thing that comes before the food. But Caribbean people, we have a very healthy relationship with soup.
Soup.
I said, that's our post-club food, and that's a meal. Like you eat soup, there's got to be something in the soup. Like if the soup doesn't have dumplings, we're offended. We're grossly offended by any soup that doesn't have dumplings, but there's got to be a lot of stuff in the soup. It
has to be rich.
The meal. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think
people don't like soup. I do know it.
Yeah. I'm like, why? It's great.
Weirdos.
It's good for you. Like.
Yeah. In fact, there's quite a few spots in Toronto now, even here in Scarborough, where you'll have a restaurant that just serves soup and nothing else. Like a place like Superlicious.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't visited those places. I should because I'm an advocate.
Yeah, there's one in the West. You would love it. You would love it, particularly if you're a meat eater. As a vegetarian, I find I don't get all the soups that I would like. I'm still waiting for them to do like a solid pumpkin and split pea soup or something. They make a lentil. They make But if you eat meat, I mean, that's all the soup you need there. Chicken, oxtail, the whole 9 yards. So a soup lover, you definitely want to check them out.
I definitely will.
Superlicious to the world. So in terms of your cultural connection then to your food, because you've talked about it a lot, that your mom is such a good cook and all the different things that she can cook. Did your parents ever have to like bug you at any age or talk to you about healthy eating from their perspective, shy away from McDonald's and fast food and stuff like that? Or have you always just been really connected?
Honestly, my dad will not eat out. He doesn't. He only knows Egyptian cuisine and that's it. Like if he ventures out, the only thing I can see him eating is maybe pizza and pasta. And that's about it. And I honestly, I can't even think of a time like I've seen him witness it eating. He loves stew. He's just a stew guy. Anything my mom makes, and even down to dessert. His desserts are Egyptian desserts, or like popular desserts. Yeah, like rice pudding is very popular in Egypt. Random, but he loves
a popular Egyptian dessert. Like this is something I think I've never really considered. Because, I find a lot of cultures, we don't even really have big time desserts, right? I've never thought about that.
For us, it's because baklava, it's like in the Middle East, is so
I love that.
Yeah, it's with honey and super sweet and like it has like nuts and like all sorts. But specifically like goulash is a type of baklava that my mom, again, I'm getting hungry and I'm kind of like, am I going to start drooling? Like, you don't understand. It's the best. I shouldn't have started this podcast hungry. I'm like about to get off and go binge everything I'm talking about. But desserts in Egypt are mostly baklava and like, type of desserts. There's a lot. There's these things called lokmat al-adi, which is almost like, it looks like a timbit, and it's kind of like, it's hollow, and you put it in oil, and so like it's just, you put dough in oil, and yeah, it puffs up, and then you put it in honey, or more like a syrup. It's a type of like, I don't know.
It sounds like a lot of Greek things. It's a lot of similarities.
Egypt's, like, I always say, it's Mediterranean food mixed with like like specifically like Middle Eastern and Greek, and then African. Because breakfast in Egypt is very much like all of East Africa, like Ethiopia, Somalia. We all have the staple, and it's called food, which is these beans, and you eat. And like in breakfast, you eat with your hands. I don't do utensils at home because it's just like everything's with pita bread, and you scoop. And it's just so normal to me. And then it's the contrast when you come here, and it's like, that's barbaric, like, you know, like they try to like, and I'm like, no, that's called culture. You don't know what. Don't eat that with a spoon. It won't feel the same at all.
Life is different for people that know how to wash their hands, right? We're on a whole different level.
Yeah,
you know?
like
whole pandemic, people are like, wash your hands. I'm like, who wasn't already doing that?
Exactly. So yeah, no, Arabic food is Egyptian food specifically is very like diverse, and it just comes from all over, because we're in Africa, but so close to the Middle East, and like all around us. We're just I guess inspired. Turkish food, a lot of Turkish food is like goes right over.
Right. Yeah. All right. I'm learning a lot here. So tell us about how you got started in comedy during the pandemic. See, I went from hand washing straight to, oh yeah, we got to talk pandemic comedy. What's that story?
I've always watched live comedy, obsessed. Nubian Night, specifically Yuck Yucks. That's the first like real live intro to comedy. Like my friend brought me to it, and I was like, there wasn't a Sunday I missed. And I watched comedy for like years, until one day I'm in San Francisco. The pandemic exists. It's happening in Canada, but you know how some places were open, some places were closed. Right. I was in San Francisco. I went to an Afrobeats concert, like a 2-day festival. So I'm a big Afrobeats fan. So I went, and on our days, like after the festival, we stayed, and we were like, let's go find comedy shows. I stumbled onto an open mic by accident. Never really ever seen what an open mic was. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is the step one to becoming a comedian. You go and you are absolute shit, and you bomb in front of other comedians, and you learn what's good, what's not, and then you actually, like, eventually good enough to perform. And I think for me, I never understood the like how to become a comedian. I never even thought about it like that. I was just like,
you want it though? Were you watching and thinking, I've always wanted to do this, but I don't know how?
No, I was thinking, wow, these people are so funny, so cool. I wish I could be their friend. That's it. I wasn't thinking I can do this. I wish I could do this. I never thought it was a possibility. I was just like, pro comedians are born pro comedians, and that's it. That's the only way. And then for me personally, my life, like, comedy like is like a regular thing at home and with my friends, specifically with my family. Like roasting is a way to show love, like making fun, poking fun. And I have an older brother that, you know, he was 2 years older than me, and he made sure there were like, I don't think he's ever said I love you, or, you know, you're my sister, you know, like we're cool. No. He'd probably just pass by me and say, your forehead's huge, and that's it. And I knew in my heart, I was like, that's his way of saying I love you. That's the closest thing I'm gonna get. So growing up, I was always performing in front of my friends. I didn't realize that this avenue that I can take. So when I saw that comedy show or the open mic, and I realized, hey, wait, this isn't that crazy. Like, these people are getting up there and they're bombing, and I'm not afraid of public speaking. So it was kind of natural for me when I tried it. Came back to Toronto. I waited for things to open up. The pandemic kind of helped, because the pandemic just showed you know what, life's short, and if you don't do things that scare you, you're never gonna live. That's right. How I saw it. Yeah. And it was scary initially, and then now I'm like,
did you bomb in that day in San Francisco? Did you go up? Did you bomb?
I didn't go up in San Francisco. No, in San Francisco, that was when the seed was planted. And I looked at my friend and I said, when we come back to Toronto, I'm going to try it. And she said, oh, yeah, bet. And I was like, oh, you don't believe me? Because she's one of those people, she knows. She tells me I can't do something, I'm going to now do it 100%. So she egged me on. And then when we came back, I kind of forgot. 2 months later, she messages me and she goes, this place has an open mic. Remember when you said you'd do a set? And I said, okay. And I came in like, I drove over there. I was like, yeah. Then you get there and you're like, holy shit, am I actually going to do this? And that's where like it set in and I was so nervous. And there was like literally 7 people. It was at Tonight Bar on Bloor. It was like 7 people and it was all comedians. And I was like, yeah, okay, fuck it, I'm going to do this. And I went up there and at first I thought I can riff. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. I riffed off the top. It wasn't going too hot. And I was like, okay, you guys don't like that? Let me go on to the actual joke I prepared. One joke, I'm a storyteller, naturally. So I that's where I learned you can't, like, you don't have that time. You don't have that luxury. You got to cut it. Like, especially when you're new, you got 4 minutes to try as many jokes as you can. So I told this one joke. I got like a little bit of a like laugh, like, and that's it. I was addicted. It was like a drug. I was literally on a high, a natural high, and I was obsessed ever since.
That's nice. So how do you feel you use it as a coping mechanism in your quote unquote real life? Like I say, you daytime as a real estate agent, but I think you're really a comedian and this is just some other stuff that you have to do.
I have to do to pay the bills. Exactly. I honestly, okay, I have always taken things that have happened in life and I've always turned it into almost like a funny moment. Like, even if it's like my car broke down and all of like, that's sucks in the moment. But when you look back and you tell the story, why nobody wants to listen to you complain, or that's how at least I felt. So if I told the story, it was more of, I'm going to joke about the fact that the tow truck guy came and the cop was saying this and that. And like, it's now a circus and it's entertaining. And it's like, yeah, I had to pay $2,000 to tow my car or something, but this happened in between and it was hilarious. And that's, or even my dad initially not liking the fact that I do comedy, it ended up forming my favorite joke, which is, I told my old school dad that I'm a comedian, but what he heard was I'm a stripper. And like, it's a true story that the first thing that came out of his mouth was, what do you wear? And I was like, what kind of comedy do you watch? Like, what are you thinking? And for him, just this protective father who's like, you're on stage, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this guy thinks I'm out here stripping. Like, and that's where my mind goes. So in that moment, I'm annoyed and I'm having a conversation with my dad. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, it's not that deep and it's chill. And it's like, it should be a bad memory. I got in a little argument with my dad, but no, I look back and I'm like, this guy's hilarious. And that's how, so you just gotta laugh and move on. There's no point in crying over spilled milk. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I like that. And it's true. I think when things happen to us in life, I have guests and friends that talk about, bad dates happen and, bad days at work happen and things like that. I think, you think even being on a bad date, I think, especially as women, we're literally writing the script of how we're going to tell our friends about this person. Like, I can't wait to get with my friends so that I can make them laugh about this thing that happened or that day. It's like a muscle you just keep flexing, I actually look forward to the bad things because they're so much funnier than the good.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes when I go on dates, I'm like, I'm just doing this for material. Hopefully they're funny.
So what's coming up next for you in comedy?
Honestly, okay, so I just did my 1 year, and I think what I want to do now, thank you. I think what I want to do, and I think it's just like something I could be proud of, is producing my own show. I want to definitely produce my own show and put just one off, just to see, like, the event planning, because I know it takes a lot. It's like venue, ticket sales, promotions. It's not easy, and I think being able to watch so many producers do it, I've been able to kind of take their do's and do nots. But I want to create a show with I mean, specifically, I always like my favorite shows are the ones that are putting on ethnic comedians.
That's
And that's
right.
personally, I can relate no matter what. Like, if you're an immigrant or you have an ethnic background, you're gonna have jokes that I'm gonna relate to no matter what. Or just my humor. I can't explain it. And people sometimes hear that and they're like, oh, like, but how do you, and I'm like, I'm not saying, the white male comedians aren't funny. I'm just saying there's too many of them and I can't
Yes.
relate to their lifestyle. I can't relate as a female or, an ethnic person. Like, I don't understand it. So personally, I want to put on a show that showcases ethnic comedians in the city that I feel like I used to watch them before I was a comedian and I used to think, wow, I want to be like them. Like basically all of my like superheroes that I get to now perform with, which is an amazing feeling. I always tell them all the time, I'm like, you guys were the reason why I'm in here. Like I watched you and I was inspired. And so I want to do that. I want to put a show on there. I want to put, a lot of people in Mississauga don't know what's good because there's no shows out there. So either I'm gonna put on a show in Mississauga to be like kind of like bringing out my own city, or if my first show's in Toronto, I'd still want the people in Mississauga to come out and like experience live comedy. A lot of people don't know what it's about. They just watch it on Netflix.
That's important. That's really important too. I hope you do that because I just feel that people shouldn't have to work so hard to get to live comedy. Like if you live at Ossington and Bloor or whatever, you've got like your choice of any number of places that you can go. But if you live in Scarborough or you live in Mississauga or Ajax or someplace, you shouldn't have to travel all the way downtown. Like comedy can happen anywhere. It can happen in a shipping container. It can happen in a alleyway between two buildings as long as it's not this time of year. So wherever you make it happen,
exactly.
I hope you make it happen.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Well, finally, where can our readers find out more about you and consume more of your work or, keep up with you so that when you do this show, we know about it? Where can we find you?
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. My handle is the same for all of it, but mostly Instagram. That's where I'm posting. Even if I'm on shows, I'll be posting. That girl, Rasha, Rasha. That's
girl, Rasha.
That girl, Rasha. Yeah. And that's
super.
And and that's where I post clips too sometimes, like the one-offs that I won't repeat or little things. But the good stuff you gotta come and see.
Yes, good stuff. We're gonna come and see you live.
Yeah.
All right. So viewers, follow her on IG or any other social media at That Girl Rasha, ThatGirlRasha. And Rasha, thank you for being here with us, and we're looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was Rasha. And for our viewers, I want to remind you to get your tickets for the Let 'Em Eat Laughs live comedy show. That's right. Let's pull that flyer back up. Let 'Em Eat Laughs live on stage comedy show. It's Sunday, February the 19th. And we'll be featuring Lady Day, Cliff Knight, our headliner, Crystal Ferrier, and your host, myself, NOJ. And please come back next week right here on Thursday, February the 2nd at 9 p.m., where we are going to kick off White Guilt Month. Black History Month with Trini comedian John Paul. And let me tell you, we are lucky to catch him before he leaves for Carnival, or in other words, while he's still sober. As the saying goes, Tori defi tell, but long bench not defi draw. And if you don't know, ask your mother. I hope your belly is full of good vibes and have a very good night.